Good day to you. This is Anagalactic on Friday the 13th. Friday the 13th? That's my lucky day. I just joined the David Bohm Society, which I recommend to all viewers. David Bohm was the greatest of the quantum mechanists in that he switched sides from the mechanistic approach to the holistic approach, and he ended up preaching at religious institutions and was interviewed, or I should say received, by the current Dalai Lama, one of the highest authorities on earth at this time in the religion that I serve. And now it's time to come out of the closet. We have met the enemy and they is us. We need to not be of us. You must separate yourself from us and join the insurgency. So it's up to you now. If you want to go on with me, you are perfectly welcome to tag along, but you are not going to criticize or contradict in any way, because this is it. As it says in the book of the Apocalypse, the time is at hand. I promise to divulge to you why the signs are clear now that the terrorist organization that runs the earth and has been running it since the beginning of time is now fully cognizant that they have run out of time. Therefore, a move will be made. I will say, since I'm not officially a prophet, it will be either this year or next year that the United States launches a full-scale attack on the ancient country of Persia, which is presently the repository of the only religion that has ever been, and therefore is fully allied with the truth that all righteous men serve. Now, if you're tuning into this station for entertainment, you are perfectly free to just be entertained without it affecting you in any way. You don't need to become religious. You don't need to bend over to receive it from the pastor or priest. You don't need to be a lackey to some shit-ass religion that you hate so deeply you'd crank God in the face if you met him. So you're evil. Don't worry. All men are born evil. It's not that we're born desirous to cause mayhem. Children's behavior proves that. But what does happen is all children, including myself and yourself, are born into a diseased world where your society, beginning at your parents, will brainwash you without your consensuality or permission in any way, and you will be turned into a sinful devil who will roast in hell for all eternity. If you think I'm exaggerating, fuck you. Go back to playing with yourself or playing with your goddamn videos and fuck yourself. I'm here to do my job, which, as I said, is to bring enlightenment, so that you can go free, be acceptable to heaven, and pass on to the next level when the time comes, which is quickly approaching. Now, today we're going to talk about David Bohm, because he is one of the gurus on the good side. He is the only quantum mechanist who came out of the cold. That's why he met with religious leaders, including those in Christianity and Tibetan Buddhism, with an equanimity and logic that is absolutely ineluctable. So the chips are down, every bet has been made, it's time to turn up the cards and see who gets tortured forever. Will it be you and I on this earth being tortured by Satan forever, which is currently the situation and has been for about 6,000 to 8,000 years? Or will it be the supreme designer that science was meant to serve, and all true scientists such as myself do serve? Which is going to be the outcome? Will good win or will evil win? I threatened you recently to switch to a religious tack I am not going to change my mind. You're going to be tortured by me. If you're irreligious, you're doomed. But you're still free. I never try to influence anyone to change their mind if they don't want to have their mind changed. But if you don't want to have your mind changed, that's because your master is telling you, don't budge. Don't move off of safe, snug harbor center, because those god-damned Christians are trying to butt-fuck you again. And you are so stupid, juvenile, and retarded that you have no way to use your mind to get yourself out of that trap. Well, I pity you then. I pity you so much that I'm going to take action to free you. And if you refuse, your damnation will be doubled. Not by me, I judge no man, but by Christ, I'm going to judge the situation before it's over. That is what a prophet does. So I am a scientist, and I wish to divulge to you some science today, which I call transluminality. That is a term inspired by my recent viewing of 3 critical interviews with David Bohm, who has risen to the top of my worshipful panoply among fleshly-oriented beings. Do I worship him? No. And Paul would not allow anyone to worship him either. Humans don't get worshipped. So David Bohm is not worshipful in that sense. But in my sense, which is the only correct sense, he's a fucking demigod. And you will pay attention to him from now on, at least through my presentations. Or again, there is zero hope left for you with your shitty music videos, your eternal distractions. God help you with your cell phone. Well, God does want to help you, but if he's going to help you, it's going to be through me. So David Bohm has a very interesting and completely unique view of quantum mechanics. He has every right to speak. He conversed with Einstein himself, worked shoulder to shoulder with Robert Oppenheimer. I'm not saying that those 2 men are respectable, but David Bohm certainly is. He switched sides. He was branded a communist by the United States and hounded out of the country. That did not stop him. Why was he hounded? Because he said that quantum mechanics is absolutely satanic. There's nothing good about it. However, he, being a true Einsteinian scientist, such as myself, that is a philosophical point of view, but it is the only correct point of view. Any question you ask, even the quantum mechanical paradoxical question, can, and you could say must be answered. Only I have done so. Now, everything depends on transluminality. That means exceeding the speed of light. The idea that Einstein came up with, which is fully accepted by the satanic regime of industrial scientists, white terrorists. That's your United States scientist system. They're bred in cages called universities. And it was taken all the way down to the grade school level so that your children, I suppose I could put it, for generations have been trained that they're monkeys, that the universe is a cuckoo clock, there definitely is no deity, and you're just stuck with them. And if you want to survive, you'll toe the fucking line. I'm here to tell you, you do not need to give in, but you do need to fight with your mind. It will go to your heart, you'll be challenged to your core, you'll go through what some of the ancient mystics called the dark night of the soul, where your entire artificially constructed view of reality with your artificially conditioned consciousness will shatter. And you will either lose your mind, turn to drugs, and be dead within weeks or months, or you will listen to me now. So transluminal speed is pointless to even talk about it. There is no speed limit to the universe because nobody knows what speed is, and nobody knows what the universe is. This goes to the very nature of space. So we're going to start there. This is the collapse of the wave function. The collapse of the wave function happens like this. A gigantic sphere called a photon expands until it is light years in diameter. And this ginormous photon hits your telescope and becomes a particle in no time at all. There is a geometric way to explain that must be validated with a computational underpinning called mathematics. That is exactly what I have done. We won't go into the mathematics at this time because I've covered it in over 100 of my lectures out of 1,000. So 10% of my lectures has been to discussing the mathematics of the collapse of the wave function. That has been fully proved. There is no higher authority than the authority that I have invoked to justify my work, because there is no review board in Satanism. No other theories will ever be allowed except the satanic quantum model. I think you're fully aware of that, but you're so scared out of your shit-ass pants that you don't know which way to turn, and so you just give up like a goddamn faggot. Alright, so the collapse of the wave function begins with the realization that a photon is an infinitely expanding sphere, and when it contacts your telescope, as it must since it's trying to fall to the edge of the universe, it intersects with your telescope and turns back into what it never stopped being. So that gigantic sphere is a particle. And that's the solution to the wave-particle duality. That the wave, which is a sphere, by the way, is a particle. It's going through space, we say. However, it does not experience time. And the reason is, it's actually traveling through contraspace, which is perpendicular to spherical space. Einstein actually proved this on a derivative. He got the linear solution. I got the integral solution, which is correct. And that makes Einstein wrong. So how does this affect the fundamental nature of the quantum paradox? As I've told you, P.A.M. Dirac stated, and he has all authority to state this, I fully agree, that to solve the paradox, all you need to do is solve the collapse of the wave function. Since that cannot be done with linear mathematics, or indeed with linear thinking, we need to turn back to reality and match our consciousness to reality. The only way that that has ever been done is with geometry. There are two geometries, the Euclidean geometry used by Satan, and my geometry, which is used by God. You don't like that? Once again, you're invited to fuck yourself, but don't you ever talk back to me. If you ask a question, it had better be rationally composed. Tomorrow, I'm going to LiveStream, and this is to kick some ass. We're going to get some debates going so that I will be shown to be the winner. I am the winner, but now in science, that needs to be shown to somebody. Since you're too stupid to listen to my lectures, and it's not really your fault, but it's becoming your fault, so watch out. I will fully explain all my discoveries in geometry, mathematics, deep space physics, and the quantum subatomic paradox system. So the collapse of the wave function happens like this. The particle looks like it's making a sphere. It's not. It's simply traveling. Not as a sphere. Not as anything. because it's not in space. It's traveling through the other dimension of space, which we'll never see, measure, or know about except as I expose it. Because the key to religion is belief in the unseeable. Belief in the unseeable. You may translate that to God. That is correct in context, but everything has two sides. And now we're looking at the rational, logical side, because the designer, the creator, uses rational logic. That is why man is made in the image of God. So the particle, when it detaches and becomes a photon, disappears into time. And when it arrives, no time elapsed. There is no time involved in the transit. It's only through what we call space. And so the relativity philosophy of Einstein is ass backwards. He linearized everything. You can't. But when you switch to integral space, which I discovered, the spheric space that the universe actually uses, it has two dimensions. And one of them is what we call 3D, which is wrong. It's one spheric dimension which has two dimensions to it. So space, one of the components of, I will say, superspace, is real space. The other component, which is conjugally joined with space, which is all we can see, this conjugal space, which we will never see, is the realm of what we call time. That is incorrect because that's a linearization of a two-component quantity called energy. When the energy, which is not traveling at all, it seems to be traveling because we're traveling as we sit still. We're traveling through time. So's the photon. And so when it arrives at your telescope, it is exactly that same particle. The entire sphere is that particle. There's no difference. So when the sphere arrives at your telescope, there's no collapse, because there's nothing to collapse. That particle simply reached you in no time at all. Now, by looking at it through the other side of the mirror, you could say a hyperbolic mirror, it looks like it traveled through space-time. It traveled through neither. It didn't travel. It simply was emitted and arrived. And that is the unification of time. That makes the universe pure time. I want to insist that's the linear derivation that makes it understandable. I will now give you the non-understandable version of the universe as a single moment of time. It is not time. Time does not exist. Time is an illusion, and so is space. Both of those are illusory, because the reality is not space-time. It's energy space. Energy space. The entire universe is energy space. It's always in contact with itself by perfect entanglement. And that is the physical manifestation of God's mind. And that's the end of science. I solved everything. And now your only choice is to turn to your designer and understand his mind. I will explain the mind of your creator to you. I'm the only man who can do so scientifically, because I solved for the collapse of the wave function. And to give you one more tidbit before we close this off at a merciful 20 minutes, the quantum of gravity has already been discovered. The quantum of gravity has already been discovered. So we're looking at satanic deception. What then is the quantum of gravity? I'm the only man who knows the answer, and I can give it to you right now. The quantum of gravity is the proton. The proton. That's why we're going to be talking about the work of Boshkovich. That makes me the foremost exponent of science on Earth today. If you don't listen to me, you will stay deceived and you're going to burn in hell unless you're absolutely innocent. But if you want to ensure in your own mind that you are absolutely innocent, you will listen to Anagalactic from now on. Beginning tomorrow at 7 p.m. on our first live stream broadcast, you will have the opportunity, should you so desire, to ask me questions. I will not refuse any questions, but if at any time you show your retarded faggot nature, your evil satanic soul to me, like you think you're going to bite me in some way, I will trounce you so evilly that you'll wish you had never been born. To the proportion that you assault me, I will come back at you with a 2x twice to your temple that'll put you on the rack. So don't you ever contradict me. Thank you for tuning in. My now beloved listeners, all 0 of you, I hope you repent. Stay tuned for more real science. I'm the only man who has any, except for the late David Bohm. Thank you and keep looking up. See you at 7 p.m. tonight, unless you're a retarded, faggot, Satan worshiper. You bitch. Talk back to me. See what happens. Thank you very much.